Hello everybody, this is Ken Faulkner. Another knife video. This one's getting ready for kind of my own personal countdown to Blade Show. But first I wanted to talk a little bit, do a little community talk. This has been a big reach out to the community from several people in the community to help out a brother in the community, and I don't know if you know him. If you go in the lives a certain amount of time, you will have seen his name in the chats. He's been around quite a bit, always very active, and he loves knives. He loves the community. He is very big time, an enthusiast, a supporter. He always calls out of the channels, and has always been there for anybody in the community that that he can help or do anything for. He's just got a big heart, and he's got a channel, and he's kind of struggled, and the main reason for that has to do with his health. So he's kind of in a situation, and many of you probably already know who I'm talking about. It's Bladewalker. Also, he changed the name of his channel to Noble Reviews, and he's explained that on his channel. So if you watch his channel, and you probably already are subbed if you watch. But if you just weren't aware, maybe you've seen him in the chats and you didn't know that he had a channel. There's a lot of people out there that have channels. So many knife channels, really. And, no one can really go and sub to all of them or watch all of them. But I'll be completely honest with you. I have been a big supporter of his for quite a while now. My heart goes out to him. I've been a subscriber to his channel. I've supported him, in various ways. I've called him out before. So what's going on is that he's in the hospital, and he has definitely health issues, and it's been hard for him to do videos. But his dream is to get 1,000 subs. And he said that for a long time. This is not a recent thing. He has said that for a long time, and because I try to watch every video he puts out. I try to make sure that he knows that there's people out there that are consistently watching, commenting. I can't do that with every channel. Certainly can't. I just don't have enough time in the day. There's just so many. But he is one person that I have felt personally a strong calling to support. So anyway, what I'm saying is this is nothing that I wouldn't ask you to do, something that I'm not willing to do myself and have already done. Just being completely honest about it. I know that you get a lot of channels that are asking for you to sub and asking for you to, to like, comment, all that kind of stuff. I don't really do that so much on my channel. And, I've talked about it a little bit, but it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's just me and my personal style. And just because, that's how I run my channel doesn't mean that I feel like everybody should do that, And I have no problem with people wanting to build their channel. I understand that. I do have a knowledge of what that's about. So, anybody who's run a channel kind of knows what that's about. So anyway, I just wanted to say, if you could go to Noble Reviews, and in parentheses is Bladewalker. If you could search that, I'll put a link in the description for his channel too. So if you feel like you'd like to help somebody else out in the community, I'm saying a lot. I don't like to push. That's kind of part of the reason why I don't go on and on about this, but it's for somebody else, and for somebody else I'm willing to step out and ask, if you wouldn't mind doing that. So I don't know if there's anybody who watches my channel that isn't already subscribed. He's kind of gone from like 500 to 700, so he's on the roll, and I think there's more and more YouTubers that are calling them out. So you may have already heard this story before. So, if so, it's just another person asking, just in case there's somebody hasn't heard yet, and all that kind of thing. So let's move on. Not that that's unimportant, but I do want to talk about knives. I mean, this is a knife video, right? And talk about right now. I'm getting ready because next week, starting Monday, I'm going to start my Faulkner 5. And if you haven't been with my channel that long, you won't know what that means. It's kind of a weird title or whatever, but it does have a meaning. And so this goes back to my first time going to Blade Show, I believe. I can't remember. I can't remember if I did this on the first time or the second time. My memory's bad. But anyway, it's going to Blade Show because when I go to Blade Show, I do spend money. And I think that most people do. Certainly, for me, flying from California, I got to fly. So there's money there. I got to stay in a hotel. There's money there. I got to buy knives, right? I got to buy knives. So there's quite a bit of money there because there's so many great things there. If you haven't been, understand, because it is kind of a thing. It's kind of a big hurdle to get to pay for all this stuff in order to do this. Get time off work, all that kind of thing. If you live in the area, it's not so bad. My first one I went to, Blade West, that was in local, so that made it so much easier. But the only problem with that is it got me hooked. So Faulkner 5. Now you can see like groups of knives, and 2 of them are 5s and 2 of them are 4s, and there's a reason for that. So let's go back to what I got on my spreadsheet is Faulkner 5 number 1, and that would be, and I don't have any. I've more recently started to put dates on knives of when I received them, so that would give me a better idea exactly when I had the knife, and therefore maybe when I did the Faulkner 5 for it. So it could have been, because I've been to Blade Show twice. Yeah, so that makes sense because this will be my 3rd time. So the Faulkner 5 number 1 had to be my first Blade Show, not Blade Show West, but Blade Show Atlanta, because it was a big deal. So this is the group of knives here from that Faulkner. Am I right? Yes, Faulkner 5 number 1. Starting with the stout, and I'm not going to go through because there's a lot of knives, and I could go through them. But what I did is I looked at my collection, and if you know, you know. If you've been around, you've heard that I rotate knives quite a bit. So it's very rare for me to carry a knife more than maybe twice a week. If it's a brand new knife, it's more likely. But for ones that have been around, they kind of tend to sit in my cases. But I don't really enjoy the knives just sitting in my cases. And I don't just sit there and pull them out and look at them. I like to carry them, and that's a big part of my collection. So there's ones like the Devo Stout. But the thing is that I got this one. Anyway, I'm definitely getting things mixed up because I got this one at Blade Show Atlanta. Pretty sure. I don't know. But anyway, you get the general gist. Specifics, if you wanted to go dig back into my videos, you'd have to go back to the old channel for some of it. And in fact, I had to do that in order to remember which knives I had in each group. I'll talk about it, and you'll see the date of the video. So I doubt that anybody really cares that much. Certainly, this one, the Malibu, this came from my first Blade Show West, because it says so, 2021. That's when it all really started. And so what I do is I go through my collection and I look at knives and think, I really, really like that knife. This is the Ari by Calum Bladeworks. Is that correct? Let me check. Calum Blade Designs. And maybe, I really like that knife, but I don't really carry it that much, and I want to get to know it a little bit better. And that's really what's going on with this. So that's what these knives are. It's an opportunity for me to force myself to carry it for 7 days. 7 days. I always have a backup. I got to be honest. It's not gonna be the only knife I carry. I usually carry 3 knives every day. Okay, so I usually have a slip joint or a fixed blade. Sometimes slip joint and fixed blade. Sometimes even throw in a 5th pocket. But normally it's a slip joint. It's 2 modern folders. This is this is the Evolve Eon. I got this at a blade show. I think this is the first blade show. I got this at the deal on the last day, and there was a crazy story behind it. So if you remember the story, maybe you'll remember when it was. But anyway, this is an Isham design, and I just really like his designs, and I just feel like I don't know him all that well. I mean, I don't have that many of his designs, and I really wanted to have a knife that I carried and just really got a good feel for what the design is like. I mean, what is it? What are the characteristics of it? This is a Heretic. This is the Wraith manual, because I guess they have a auto, and it is a integral, but it is carbon fiber integral, so it's kind of interesting. And it does have this little plate that comes off to make it easier to dismantle, which is cool. Great. Oh man, it just sounds really good. So anyway, I really like all these knives. I mean, pretty much like all my knives, but there's some that I like more than others. And I mean, that's got to be obvious, right? Anytime you collect something. So that was the original Faulkner 5. Faulkner 5 number 1. I hope I'm getting this right. I think I am. So then there was the Faulkner 5 number 2. And yeah, because that's definitely more recent, because the first knife is the Spartan Harzy folder, and that's here. Now, you may notice that there's only 4 knives, and there's a reason for that. There was a 5th. You know that I don't sell knives. I do give some away on giveaways, and there was just one knife that, for personal reasons, it needed to go to another place for a good cause, and it was the right thing to do, and I did it, and I don't feel bad about it at all. I'm completely happy with it, but because of that long explanation, I only have 4 of the Faulkner 5 number 2. So the Spartan Harzy folder, I mean, that's like an iconic knife. This is, you kind of see the transition or the growth of my collection. Very iconic knife. The first round, certainly some, I mean, like the Malibu, that was a hard one to get. But some of these other ones are a little bit less well known, like the Wraith. I didn't know about it until I had an opportunity to get it. The Caleb blade design, that was one that came out, and I don't think it was ever really super popular, but I just vibed with it when I first saw it. So I mean, so that's where these kind of all, obviously Devo, the first knife from Devo, and I just love that knife. But here we're starting to get into iconic knives. So we got the Spartan Harzy folder with the Royal Flush. We got the Shaman in 15V with Rips Garage Tech aftermarket scales and a Lynch Northwest clip, and also with the compression made easy, because this one does have a nub, so it kind of made sense to use that, get one of those on this one. I'm not sold on them enough to change them out on all of my Spydercos, but I did enjoy having it on here. It made it a little bit easier to operate. The XM18. I mean, so we're talking iconic knives here. Very iconic knives. I got the Atom from TRM. Maybe not quite as much of an icon, but certainly I was just enamored with this with these scales, and they've done it on a couple different models, but they're so cool. And Atom is their biggest model, and TRM was like a goal for me. It was like a grail. In fact, when I went to Blade Show the year that I bought this, it was on my list of I want to buy this knife. So that was the first Blade Show Atlanta. So this may have been a Blade Show West, the Faulkner 5 number 1. Quite possibly could have been, because it probably was the first one I went to in Utah. But yeah, so anyway, just moving on. I don't want to make this forever, but I mean, the basic idea is to understand opportunity to be with the knives for a certain period of time. Also, just recently, Easter, we just had Easter, and before that there was Lent. Now, I'm not Catholic. That's not, I'm not a Catholic. I'm not part of that, what do you call it, religion. But I understand what Lent is, and I think it's a good concept. And so this is kind of like a Lent for knives for me. Obviously, it's not a religious thing. Knives are not my religion. You may think they are because the way I, seem like I'm worshiping them. I don't know. I don't worship knives, but I do enjoy them. But this is an opportunity for me to stop buying knives. I think most of us that collect knives, most of us have that experience of when you have a knife collection, you want to buy another knife. You want to get another knife. You always have a knife that you're thinking about getting. And it is part of the collecting. It's not just getting 20 knives and then just looking at them or even carrying them or anything like that. You're also going for the next one, but I don't want to leave behind the old one. So it's kind of like a combination of both. I'm spending time with older ones in my collection, ones that I've had for a while, and that I specifically feel like are going to help me get over that crazy feeling of wanting to buy knives during that 5-week period. It may not seem like a lot, but believe me, it is not so easy for me. If a lot of you probably believe me very well because you know the feeling. If you don't really have that feeling, then you're just going to have to trust me on it. So next group that we're talking now, so we did Faulkner 5, 1, and 2. And I think it must have been the next Utah after Faulkner 5, 1 is when I did what I call the budget Faulkner 5. So let's get these guys out of the way. And these guys out of the way, and we'll move on to the budget Faulkner 5. Now, this was just an idea I had because, sometimes the budget knives don't get as much love. But still, within the budget group of knives, there's major standouts. Ones that, really, vibe with me. That I really have emotional almost kind of, don't want to get too carried away here, but emotional connection to, right? So I picked 5 that I really wanted to carry for a whole week so that I could really, get to know it a little bit better. So there was a Beluga. This is one of the early ones that I got. I remember seeing it on Bee's Blades, and it's like a big knife, and, I like big knives. Obviously I go back and forth a little bit and get smaller knives and things like that. But yeah, I do like bigger knives in general. And the Beluga is a big old monster. It really is big. So I did want to have time with that one. The Morale from Megaron is just such a great design. That blade is such a good looking design. And it's a budget knife, but it is just punching way above its weight. Just a good knife. Backlash, one of the early ones, probably before I really got into YouTube too much. I got the Backlash just probably way back in the day when I was watching the Blade HQ videos. I started out with all those, like the Knife Centers and the Blade HQs and stuff like that. I kind of moved on from then because they're really like sales videos. They're just selling. They're telling you what their latest things are. But for me back then, I knew nothing about knives. I didn't know about Civivi before I started watching it. And then I learned because they were the hot item. And this was actually something I could get on Amazon. I picked it up on Amazon. And, it was long before I did this budget Faulkner 5. But I really, really like this knife. Just that blade shape is so cool. Hollow grind. I think it's probably, what's the steel on this guy? It is 9CR. Okay, so a lot of people talk back about 9CR, but it's better than 8CR. And really, 8CR knives work fine for me. I have really no problem. I really don't feel like this dulls up super fast. But then again, after I did carry it for a full week, I did do a full cleaning, take it apart, and sharpen it. But it's still quite sharp, quite sharp. I could feel it. You know how you kind of get it on your skin, and you can feel where you can put on a thumbnail and it just sticks. It doesn't slide off. So it is quite sharp, quite sharp. So anyway, 9CR definitely functions. The feldspar, love this one. Just love the blade shape. It just works for me, and it's got that micarta, and really good micarta. Obviously, this one is well carried because it's dark. It's maybe the darkest micarta knife I have, and this is also another early buy. And then more recently, when I picked these, the Serene was one that I picked up at Blade Show. First one in Atlanta, I believe. Last day, I was like hemming and hawing on it. I was just thinking, man, I really like that. Big knife, big knife. I love that color. That pop of the red is just a pop. I mean, it really, this is kind of like when I started to see those aluminum scales coming out with those really bright colors, the reds, the blues, the greens. All that stuff was really popping, and the button lock action on this thing is supreme, and it's a big monster of a knife, and it feels great in the hand, not too heavy. The aluminum makes it lighter. It's very thin, carries well. So anyway, all these ones, obviously, I thought I'd change it up, go with the budget on this one. And I think it was a good idea. I mean, it was really, I like to mix things up. That's why I don't just carry big, huge knives. This is the last set. This was from Blade Show, Texas, and the reason why there's only 4 is because I kept hemming and hawing again about going to the show. I early on I didn't make it to Blade Show West this last year, and it was just because we just had to buy a new car. Just finances didn't work. Work was busy. All that stuff, all those excuses that everybody has when they say they can't go to Blade Show. I had those for Blade Show West, even though it's the closest one to me. But for a few years, I'd been saying I really want to go to Blade Show Texas. So this year I did go, but I put off committing to it. My girlfriend really I think she was kind of worried about how moody I was going to be if I didn't go, because I'd really kind of set my sights on it. It's kind of like when I went to my first Blade Show, Atlanta. I really set my sights on it. There was a couple factors that came in at the last minute that really clicked it into place that made it like, yes, definitely going. But anyway, that's the reason why there was only 4, because we only had 4 weeks. So I picked 4. So I had the Shaman. We already talked about the Shaman. It's the Smock. The Smock, and it's a very different kind of Spyderco. I've been on a Spyderco kick lately, and I'm definitely, probably this weekend, I'm going to break them all out. We're going to run through the whole collection. But man, Spyderco, for me, has got so much going on. But we'll definitely talk about that during the Spyderco collection review. The Mystic. Oh man, this has got, it's Rex 45, I think. Rex 45 seal. This is back when Billy from Apex Alchemy was doing his testing on knives, and he had one of these things, and he was talking about Rex 45. And it's been kind of, I really wasn't hard into the steels. I guess that's a bad pun, I guess. Wasn't intended. But I wasn't that much into necessarily collecting steels, but it was starting to be more and more of a thing. And as I get deeper and deeper into the hobby, then you start to get into these things like steels and brands and things like that. So I wanted to get the Rex 45. I didn't have anything. This is still the only knife I have in Rex 45. But the Mystic, I just love that. I love the blade shape. I love that it's a big knife. I love that it's got this micarta, and it's a sub frame lock or a bolster lock, and it has a front flipper, and I just love everything about it, really. So that was an easy choice. The Kubi Atlas I've had for a long time. I was super happy about it when I first got it. I probably carried it quite a bit at that time, and then it kind of fell off the radar. But it's still such a great knife, and Yeah, and I talked to some people, and they were saying, "Yeah, that's just a great knife." And I go, "Yeah, it is. I don't. I wonder why I don't carry it that much anymore." So it got carried, and loved it. It just a it's a this is a heavy knife, big, just fills the hand. Big old blade, tall blade, awesome, 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 awesome. And then I had the giant mouse. Now this one I got because I've been thinking about getting a giant mouse for a long time, but they were always kind of small. This one was the XL Ace Biblio, and I am super happy with it. I mean, just the action, the feel, just the fit and finish on it. It just feels really good in the hand. I've heard about Italian knives, and people say, some stuff. People say that the steel is soft. I haven't really noticed it, but I'm not super sensitive to the steel stuff. I don't sharpen on a regular basis. Only when I feel like it's not cutting hairs off the back of my hand or something like that. Then I say, okay, I'll go ahead and sharpen it. But I don't like do it on a regular basis. It's only as needed sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, I was really shocked and surprised how well this really felt in the hand, and just the blade shape and all that stuff. So anyway, great. And so all of this to say that I'm going to pick another 5, and at least by Monday it'll be picked. So hopefully, maybe this weekend, I'll put out a video on that. There will be no new knives coming in. I do have one on order. It's coming on Saturday, so there will be one new knife. But I've already paid for it, so it's before the Faulkner 5 starts, and there will be a 5. And boy, when I started looking at them, I got some doozies. I got some great ones. This is going to be epic, and it really shows how my my knife collection is being evolving and moving to a different level. So that's going to be fun. Just going back and looking at these groups of knives was fun. Kind of memory lane. This was like the premium, the top of the line at the time, and and then where my collection has gone since then. So yeah, I enjoyed going back and through it all, going back to my old channel, looking at some of that stuff. I accidentally posted a video on my old channel because I was on it, and then I didn't realize when I posted that I was still on that channel. So if you don't know, but you can switch between what channel because I can still put videos on my old channel, but I lost control of so many things that I needed to start the new one. So anyway, these are the Faulkner 5s. There's 14 of them total because of the odd years and different situations, but still love them all. But man, I think this next set's going to be cool. So you could probably think about it. If you think about what you've seen on my channel, if you've been watching for a while, you may kind of have some guesses as to what I'm going to have. It's not necessarily going to be, I'm not going to carry my Rockstead. I'll give you that. So that's not going to be one of them, but certainly have some really awesome ones, because the Rockstead's kind of like my just take it out of the box and look at it knife. I will carry it occasionally, but anyway, I'm not going to carry it all week. But other than that, everything's free game, but it's going to be premium stuff. Kind of like this set where they were just iconic knives. That's what it's going to be, guys. So yeah, you'll find out when that video comes out. Boy, half-hour video. Haven't done that for a while. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I know it's a long video, but there's a lot to talk about, and there's probably going to be some days that I don't have video, so you'll get a rest, you get a break. All right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up, and I am going to get ready for this weekend. Super excited. Birthday tomorrow. See you guys at the Hive if you go to the Hive. It'll be my chance to say, hey, it's my birthday. All right, guys. You have a good one, and I will see you on the next one.